Those that just joined us, we're doing a poll everywhere here. The question is, what skills are essential to be an innovator? If you have a phone with service in here, text 37607, and in the subject put my name, Juan Valentin, 313, and you'll join the live poll, and you can give your answers. More than one is fine. And at the end of the presentation, we'll go to the word cloud, and we'll see what everybody came up with, and hopefully have time to have a little conversation about it. If not, we can take a picture and think about it later. Morning. Come on in. This is, yes, this is the intellectual property workshop. Yeah. So Taylor, since you're in the front row, I'm going to ask you to be my timekeeper. Do you mind? So when I have 15 minutes left, at 11:15, can you just go ahead and give me a high five or something? Let me know. There you go. That'll be my sign. 11:15. Yeah, I appreciate that. Good morning. If you're just joining us, I've set up a poll everywhere. Question: if you text 37607 with the subject, my name, Juan Valentin, 313, and the question you're answering is, what skills are essential to be an innovator? What skills are essential to be an innovator? This poll is going to be open throughout the workshop. So as I'm talking, and actually I should say as we are talking, I want this to be a discussion. If something new comes up and you want to shoot it on the poll, go ahead and give it there. At the end, it's going to be a word cloud. We're gonna take a look at it and see if it jives with what everyone else is thinking. Hi back there. All right. So 2 more minutes. I'm going to start exactly at 10:30 just because I got a lot to cover. And we already have a good amount of people in here, so this is great. This is the intellectual property one, yeah. Yep. And I will stay after if you have questions or if I didn't answer anything in my presentation. I do have a lot to cover, so feel free to ask me a question. I may not be able to get to it during the workshop, but definitely, I will stay over. I have business cards and definitely here to help you guys in your inventing entrepreneurial spirit. So, hello. Awesome. I see a lot of different teams here. I see some mentors, a lot of students. This is great. It's all right. All right, the last time I'm going to say this. So I'm doing a poll everywhere. If you text 37607 with the subject line Juan Valentin 313 and answer the question, what skills are essential to be an innovator? This poll is going to be open through the whole workshop, so feel free to keep chiming in as we have this conversation. If you have a new answer, something else changes, and we'll go ahead and we'll check it out at the end. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So, innovation through the lens of invention. I'm Juan Valentin. I work at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I was a patent examiner for 12 years in the field of optical measuring and testing devices. So if any of your robots have a light or a sensor on there that shines light and maybe detects a distance to something or a surface to maneuver something around, if you filed a patent application, it probably would have crossed my desk or one of my colleagues' desks in my department. And so I did that for 12 years. It was a great career. Now I'm in education and outreach. I get to talk to wonderful people like you and teach you about the concepts of intellectual property protection and STEM and innovation and things like that. I got the fun job now. I love patent examining. That was fun too. For those of you on social media, hashtag USPTO STEM. If you take a picture, send it to my boss on Twitter, let her know how much fun we're having in here. That would be great. You can follow the PTO at USPTO as well and on Facebook as well. Sweet. So this is my favorite slide. This is a disclaimer. If I'm going to talk about a lot of products today and things like that. I'm not telling you to go buy these products. I'm not endorsing them in any ways. I'm strictly using them for educational purposes only, all right? There we go. So what does it mean to be innovative? You guys are, you're in this room for a reason because you're at First Championship, you're competing or you're presenting. You guys are innovators in your own ways, right? That's why we're all here participating. That's what I love about First and the USPTO and the collaboration that we have is the fact that First promotes innovation at all levels. And I think what it means to be innovative is not one different thing. It's hard to pinpoint what it means to be an innovator. But I think personally speaking, when I was preparing for this presentation and when I talk to people, I think it's a mindset, right? You grow up and you learn things, but you don't really learn how to be an innovator, right? Unless you participate in First, right? Unless you get this opportunity, you're challenged to solve problems. And what First does and what we at the United States Patent and Trademark Office like to do is to kind of create a mindset of being an innovator, of thinking differently, right? Being that backwards thinker, attacking problems. It's a commitment to learning, right? You're going to be lifelong learners. That's the way to be an innovator. Don't get stale in what you do. Don't be satisfied with where you are. Continually strive to get better, to learn more. Commitment to learning, a commitment to being a problem solver, right? That's the next one. Attack life innovatively, right? There's problems. There's little problems like what clothes are you going to wear? Or there's big problems like the bus didn't show up. How am I going to get to school? But either way, you got to solve these problems, and they're going to come at you in bundles in life. And First, I was just talking earlier, I mentored a team 229 Division by Zero, and their robot broke down. Actually, most of their motors broke. They had 6 motors on the robot, and they all broke. But they were forward thinking, and they had already ordered some extra motors because they had an idea that something like this might go down. But they anticipated the problem, and I'm not sure where they are in qualifying right now, but I think they're doing pretty well. So a commitment to problem solving, be ready. And creativity, we got to be creative. It's not about doing the same thing the same way. It's about getting a diversity of thought, right? It's not just what I think, but it's what everyone on the team thinks. Brainstorming is really is critical. A lot of people want to jump to the end and solve the problem, but the problem is solved through the brainstorming phase, through everybody's input and that creativity that everybody in the room brings, that we together can solve our problems as a team, right? This is probably the most important one. Fail fast, fail forward, fail often. I have a 5-year-old daughter who I'm trying to drill that into her young mind. Still got a ways to go, but it's like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to take that step, that blind step that you don't know where it's going to lead you, but trust. While it might not lead you to where you think you're going to go, it's going to lead you to the right opportunity. It's going to lead you to the answer or to the solution which you're looking for. Right? And so I love this one. Commitment to failure. Fail fast, fail often, fail forward. Right? It's all about this toolbox. It's just a thought toolbox, right? You hear this word thought leaders, right? Who are these thought leaders? We go to these conferences, we listen to people talk. They're really bright, they're awesome. But you guys are thought leaders. You guys are in the room, you're here, you committed to be successful, to be an innovator, to come to First, to succeed. Win or lose, cooperation, you guys are here because you're building your toolbox. It's this life toolbox. Learning never stops. You're always putting things into your toolbox. And I'm glad you're in this room because now, if it's not already there, intellectual property will be in your toolbox, right? You're going to have the knowledge, whether you choose to go on in life or not, to protect that intellectual property. You're going to know that you have it, that it's there, and it can be protected, it can be shared, all these different things. This is where I work. It's called the Innovation Agency, self-described, but we'll take it. You know, all of America's technology, all of the cutting edge, high tech, low tech, all of it comes to us to be protected. The Innovation Agency, we are the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. We're located, headquartered in Alexandria, Virginia. That's my building right here. My office is somewhere over there. But we have regional offices throughout the United States. We have one in Detroit that serves actually the St. Louis in this region right here. We have one in Denver. There's a regional office in Dallas, as well as San Jose, Silicon Valley, right? And we do outreach. We come to you. You can come to us. We can show you. There's some resources I'll talk about later, but we can help you get some tools, get some understanding, some learning of what you have to do to protect your intellectual property. So, actually, let me go back real quick. We have three main functions: issuing patent applications, which is probably why a lot of us are here, to maybe file a patent, get a patent on your invention, protect your intellectual property. We also register trademarks. We'll talk more about trademarks later. And the third one, we advise the administration, that's the president, on intellectual policy, or intellectual property policy. That's why, while we don't have copyright and trade secret in our name, we do have experts in those other two forms of intellectual property that we can advise the administration on. So what do you think intellectual property means? Anyone, raise your hand. What is intellectual property? Don't be shy. Take a guess. Your own personal ideas. Okay, anybody else? It's good. You have the rights to what you make. So we have ideas and we have making. I like that. Anyone want to add on to that? Ideas and making. Where do ideas come from? Thoughts, concepts, right? Research. Your perspective on that research, right? Your perspective, it comes from your brain, right? Your thoughts, right? And then you make it. Someone said making over here, right? An idea is nothing inside of your head. I mean, it could be amazing, but if you don't do anything with that idea, no one's going to know about it, right? It's not on paper. If you don't draw it out, if you don't sketch it, if you don't design it, if you don't build it, prototype it, then an idea is just going to remain an idea. And intellectual property is not an idea. Intellectual property is something tangible, right? It's money, 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 right? No, but it's a commodity. You can trade it. You can negotiate. You can barter with it, right? It's a piece of paper that has value, right? And you can trade it, you can buy it, you can sell it. So that's what you're taking, this idea, and you're turning it into something tangible, into your property from your mind, your creations, right? That's an important thought. That's like, we all have intellectual property, but it's a matter of what do we do with that intellectual property? Do we take it to the next step, right? Do we execute on that idea, right? Have you ever heard someone say, oh, I thought of that like 10 years ago or 5 years ago? You see the commercial on TV or something, you're like, oh man, that was my idea. Well, you didn't execute on it, right? You gotta take it, have the courage to execute on that idea so that someone else can be looking at your commercial saying, oh man, that was my idea, right? Let's execute on these awesome ideas we have for this intellectual property. So my job is deeply rooted in this nation's history. Thankfully, I call that job security. It's called the Constitution. You know, U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8. Our founding fathers had the fortitude to understand that intellectual property, promoting the progress of science and useful arts for limited times, was important to the development of our nation, to the continued success of our nation and the growth of our nation, right? Discovery, invention, innovation, copyrights, things like that. I mean, it's amazing to think that way back then, invention and innovation was going to be the growth of our nation. It's going to be, as technology continues to evolve and innovation has continued to strive, we're going to need this intellectual property protection to help our nation keep growing. So there's 4 types of intellectual property. I'll give you a hint, 2 of them are in our name. Right? Patents is the first one. Patents protect things that have function, that are useful. New, useful, and non-obvious is the last one. But they have function, all right? Things like a light bulb, an MP3 player. Believe it or not, a popsicle. A popsicle has function. It's a process of making, right? There's trademarks. Trademarks they're like the DNA of businesses. We all have our fingerprints that identify us, right? Well, all these products have their fingerprints, right? And their fingerprints is is this little logo right here, or however it is that they've branded through their trademark, NEC for this particular projector right here, right? They distinguish themselves over other competitors. Copyrights are original works that are on a fixed medium. All kinds of things are copyrights, instructions, poetry, recording, books, music, written, websites, things like that. Many, many other things. Trade secrets, these aren't so well known, right? Given the name, it's a trade secret. Many of us don't know about them. What is a trade secret? Honestly, if I could tell you, I might not be here today. Krispy Kreme, right? Their trade secret is their secret rising dough. A French pastry chef in New Orleans bought this recipe, and now he created, Krispy Kreme. So whenever we drive by and we see that hot sign, it's like, pull over the car. Let's get a nice fresh donut. That trade secret recipe. Let's do it. All right, so let's talk about patents. What is a patent? Well, a patent, many people think if you have a patent, that gives you the right to make and use your invention. It's a very confusing concept. It's not right, actually. It's misleading. A patent gives you the right to exclude. So if you have an invention and you have a patent on your invention, you can exclude, you can stop others from making, using, selling, and or importing into the United States your invention, right? So Juan, that's confusing. I have a patent. I should be able to make my invention. Yes, you technically can in certain instances. So I'm an inventor. I'm inventor A, right? Taylor right here, she's inventor B. My invention is a widget that goes into a lawnmower. A regular lawnmower can mow 2 lawns on a full tank of gas. Well, me being the innovator that I am and creating my widget, and I went and I got a patent for my widget, if you put my widget into this lawnmower, you can mow 4 lawns on 1 tank of gas. So I've doubled the efficiency of this lawnmower with my invention. So I have a patent on my invention. I can make my invention, right? Not a trick question. Yes? Yeah, I can make my invention, right? Can I use my invention, or can I sell my invention in use? Like in full-blown lawnmower? Can I? I'm not the inventor of a lawnmower, though. Does that make sense to you? So I can make my invention, but I can't use it. I can use it at home on my property. But if I'm trying to sell a lawnmower with my invention in it, we're going to have problems. I'm going to have to go find John Deere or somebody else who makes lawnmowers and say, hey, listen, I've got this widget. You should license it from me because we can both make money, right? It's a deal there. So I can make it, but I can't use it. So here's another example. Same invention, my widget, but in order to make my widget, I need Taylor's superconductive wire to go inside my widget to make it do what it does, right? So I realized that, wow, this wire that she invented is amazing, and it has this other property that she didn't realize it. So I'm going to put it inside my invention. I'm going to get a patent on it. But now, so can I make my invention? No, right? Because I need to go to Taylor over here and say, hey, can we make a deal? Check this out, right? So that's how that works. You don't necessarily have the right to make and use your invention, but you have the right to exclude others from doing that, right? Question?
What about like secondhand selling? Like, is it illegal for me to go to John Deere and like resell their lawnmowers?
I would venture to say yes, but that's something that you're going to have to check with John Deere. I mean, if you're going to set it aftermarket selling, like on Craigslist or something like that, I mean, it's a Craigslist. I mean, if you sell it on Craigslist, but I don't know if you can actually go to Kmart and say, hey, I got these new lawnmowers that I'm reselling. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a huge difference there. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's what patents do. And to get a patent, it needs to be new. And by new, I mean novel. It has to be something that's not out there. It has to be useful. What does useful mean? Well, it has to have utility. It has to have a purpose, serve a purpose, right? So, for instance, this chair that we're all sitting in, this chair serves a purpose, right? It's a seat. It's holding me off the ground. So this chair has utility. And it has to be non-obvious. What is non-obvious, right? There's a lot of gray. There's 50 shades of gray in that word. Non-obvious. And that's dependent on the examiner. And the way we do it is, it has to be obvious to somebody of ordinary skill in the art. What's ordinary skill in the art? Well, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked. So, ordinary skill is not a PhD, If you spend your life in a lab and you are like an expert, a world expert on that, that's not ordinary skill. That's extraordinary skill. And it's not a high schooler either who might be just learning and dabbling about this. It's somewhere in between, right? It's probably about a 4-year degree or somewhere thereof, right? Ordinary skill in the art. So then you got to prove to the patent examiner that, well, this would be obvious or this would not be obvious to somebody of ordinary skill to add a 5th leg on this chair. Actually, there's no legs on that chair. Add 1 leg on that chair, right? And then that's a conversation you would have back and forth with the patent examiner and say, well, you know, you got to prove it's not obvious. You got to prove that that idea is novel and it's not an obvious variation. And that's another thing about patents is patents do not have to be a eureka type invention like the light bulb, right? Patents can be an incremental improvement upon an already existing invention. And in fact, most patents are general improvements on already existing inventions. You can make them better, and that's the beauty of the patent system. That's why I love the patent system, because it encourages invention. So instead of keeping it a secret, you're making an agreement with me being the government, saying, hey, share with me your idea. Share with me your invention, how to make it, how to use it, what its usefulness is. And what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to give you limited time, just like the Constitution said. I'm going to give you 20 years from the date of filing of your patent application to limit, exclude others from making, using, or selling. So for that 20 years, you can essentially exclude others, do whatever you want for that 20 years. But your next door neighbor, the person in California, can go online and they can read your invention and they can learn from it and they can make it better. And they can improve it. And that's exactly what the patent system has done. The patent system has allowed inventions to nourish and to grow throughout time and to continually get better and better and better. And light bulbs don't look like light bulbs anymore. They look, let me jump ahead here. Oh, here you go. Where are you? Are you next? Oh, I think I broke. There you go. Light bulbs don't look like that anymore, do they? No, they don't, but this is the first patented light bulb, at least. I know a lot of technology went into getting this here, but it's hard to read, it's blurry, but that's 1880, right? And now we have long light bulbs. If you stop by our booth at the Innovation Fair, we have little LED light bulbs that we can light up and make at the USPTO booth, but there are all kinds of light bulbs, and light bulbs will continually to get better. Light bulbs will maybe one day be able to like go on our skin and be flexible and like light things, like who knows where technology can go, right? But that's for you guys to make happen. Like dream big, because it's gonna happen, right? So how old do you have to be to get a patent? There's no age limit. Great answer. No age limit. You just have to have an idea. You have to solve it, turn it into something, and apply for it, right? So you might need some help from your parents at a younger age, but once you can read and write, you can apply. You know, you can apply. You might have to do a couple paper routes and stuff to get the filing fees, but you know, you can apply at any age. The popsicle was invented by an 11-year-old. And this was a mistake. Soda water powder mixture left in the snow overnight because mom said, hey, Frank, you got to go to bed. So he forgot his cup with the straw in it. When he came out the next morning, pulled it out of the snow, voila. Popsicles that we all, don't say you don't like popsicles because you know you like popsicles. We all still eat today, popsicles. And he got a trademark on it. Used to be called the Epsicle, but now it's the popsicle that we all know and love. If you've stopped by our trading booth, then you've seen our really spectacular inventor trading cards. So instead of baseball players or football players, we're putting inventors on cards, right? You guys, we want to put you guys on cards, right? So come up with something super awesome, get a patent on it, start a business, a trademark, change the world some way, and we're going to put you on a card, right? So this particular gentleman right here, he's the only U.S. president to have a patent. That's saying something. We've had some smart presidents. They're all smart. We've had some really inventive presidents. But this particular one actually got a patent. So what's his patent for, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, he was a boater. Abraham Lincoln liked to boat down the Mississippi River. So he'd be going down his boat, chilling, relaxing, checking out the beautiful green scenery. His boat would get stuck on a sand dune in very shallow water. So being the inventor that he was, he said, well, I'm going to solve this problem. How do babies learn how to swim? Do you just throw them in the water and drop? Say, hey, go for it? No. You put those cute little floaties on their arms. and they just wiggle around in the water, and you take pictures and you show them when they grow up, and you're like, why did you do that? They got floaties. He invented floaties for a boat right here, this little dark thing. So once this shaft was driven into the water, it blew up. It pressurized air into these essentially bladders, balloons, and they blew up. And once they hit the water and they were pushed into the water, buoyancy, what would happen? The boat would rise. So he would get over the sand, and he would continue on his trip, you know, drawing. Maybe he was an artist, I'm not sure. But he was doing whatever Abraham Lincoln did. But that was his invention. To be honest with you, he never made or sold any of them. But that's 90% of patents don't go to market. 90% of patents do not go to market. So that's something to think about, all right? If you're going to spend time and resources, right? But at the same time, if you have a patent, no one can take that from you. That's your invention, right? That's a piece of paper on a wall. That's a lifetime. That you came up with it. That's your intellectual property, your protection. We already talked about Thomas Edison, and he's got over 1,000 patents. Does anyone drive a Tesla in here? No? Okay. I was going to say, if you did, can I get a ride? I didn't make it this far? Oh, man. If I'm ever in your town, I will holler at you. But the engine, right, dates back to this patent, which was filed in 1888. 1888, right? Right here. This is the Tesla electrical AC generated motor, right here. Bam. And because those awesome fancy cars, that engine, the technology predates back to this gentleman right here. It's quite amazing. Would you fly in this plane? Heck no. No. You would? Wow. Okay. Hopefully they invented the parachute. I need some landing gear, a seatbelt maybe a fog light, helmet, yeah. But, you know, I need little extra features that, thankfully, because the Wright brothers shared this invention, planes don't look like this anymore. They look fancier and safer, right, and more high-tech, right? But because of this original patent for the plane, people read it, they looked at it, and they got inspired by this patent to make it better, right, which is what the patent system does. Heelys, has anyone ever used these? I have not. You have? Sweet. I would break an ankle on one of these things. But it's a pretty neat invention, right? This was in 2002. This is actually 2 weeks before I started working at the Patent and Trademark Office. Look at what number patent they were on, 6,400,000. Let me go back a slide. Back in 1906, which was a little less than 100 years later, they were on patent number 800,000. So the Patent Office started in 1790. Right? So in about 110, 115, 16 years, they were at 820,000. Fast forward 90 years, and I went the wrong way. What happened? Right? So it's not just about technology, but it's about history. You can relate patents back to history. You can relate patents to language arts, reading and writing. Patents aren't just about STEM. They're cross-cutting. So those were all utility patents that we had been discussing. They have function, they do things. There's other kinds of patents. There's design patents. Strictly ornamental, what something looks like, right? So you can get a patent on what something looks like. Why would someone want to get a patent on what something looks like? You want to protect that intellectual property of the way your invention looks, right? You don't want anyone else selling a phone that looks like your phone, right? Or you don't want anybody else selling a video game console that looks like your video game console, right? So this is the evolution of Microsoft's Xbox, right? This is the, 360? This is the original? And then this is the one? Or, you got gamers out there? But why would you do that? So that somebody else can't sell a video game that looks like that, and there would be a confusion like that, right? So they have a design patent. Design patents last 15 years from the date of issue, right? So they're slightly different than utility. Utility is 20 years from the date of filing. Designs are 15 from the date of issue, when you get the patent, right? There's a, okay, so I'm just gonna sneak in these are actually utility patents that you probably don't wanna use at home, all right? But, like I said, this is somebody's intellectual property. It's hanging on their wall, proud of it. Might not use it, though. This is my favorite. If the chin strap breaks, you still got the cushions on the feet to save you. Yeah. You know? So, yeah, 1879, you know, I think technology has evolved since then. You know? Plant patents. This is the third type of patent you can get for asexually reproducing plants. So if you go in the woods and you pick up a flower, you bring it to the patent office, you will not get a plant patent. But if you go into a lab, say you live in Idaho, and the potatoes that grow in the harsh, rigid winters of Idaho are really small, but they're really good, but they're just too small. But the big potatoes that grow in Georgia, but they can't grow in the quantities that they get in Idaho. If you go into the lab and you splice those two potatoes together, so you get a big potato to grow in the rigid climate of Idaho, and they're super good, you have what's called the Russer Idaho potato. Luther Burbank is the inventor, and they're in 80% of fast food French fries today. That's what you get. So I don't know if you like peaches. I have poinsettias. Poinsettia, the Christmas flower, plant patent. A lot of different things are plant patents. Seedless watermelons. How do you think they got the seeds out? They played with it in the lab. And now it's delicious, and we eat it. Peppers, all kinds of things, right? So what do you do if someone steals your intellectual property? Well, the sad thing is the Patent and Trademark Office, we're not the patent police. So we're not going to patrol the world looking for people that steal your invention. Unfortunately, we are proud to give you your invention. You know, once you've earned it and we've satisfied that you are not taking someone else's idea, when we hand you that patent or we give you that trademark, it's your job to make sure that no one else is infringing on it. There are options once you figure out, hey, somebody is infringing. What do? You take them to court, right? You can seek an injunction, stop, cease and desist, right? So those are some of the things you can do. If it's a bad enough offense, the government can file criminal charges, right? So those are patents. Patents is a big thing of what you guys are doing here at First. You're amazing inventors and things like that. Once you've been inspired, you've found those problems, you've solved that problem, you have that product, maybe it's a very viable solution. It's the 10% of patents that are going to go to market. What do? Well, you want to sell it, right? Well, when you sell it, you need a DNA behind that product. What's the DNA? The DNA is your trademark, right? Trademark can be a lot of different things, can function as many different things, not just words, not just logos. But trademarks identify the source of a product or a service, where it comes from. How do you know when you go to the store, you're walking down the cereal aisle looking for your favorite cereal? How do you know you've arrived at it? You've seen the trademark, right? I know that if I pick up a can of Coca-Cola in New York and I pick up a can of Coca-Cola in California, I know that can is going to taste the same, right? I'm assured by that trademark that the quality, the brand of this product that I'm picking up is going to be the same, right? That's why trademarks are valuable, because they protect products, the services, where something comes from. I can identify where it comes from, right? I'm not going to get a fake. I'm not going to, there's a lot of counterfeits out there, a lot of counterfeits. And you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. So it identifies the source of a product or services. Trademarks can function as designs. As soon as you see this design, all of you are immediately, split second, going to know the word that is associated with it. Right? All right. Reebok. You started it. Target. You guys know. You just know. When we wake up, from the minute you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you open up the cabinet, you take the toothpaste out, you get your toothbrush. When you get to the kitchen, the whole day, between 3,000 and 3,500 trademarks a day we look at. I mean, you open up the fridge in the morning, it's like trademark heaven, like they're just smacking you in the face. You're going down the road, you're seeing restaurants, you're seeing the John Deere dealership, you're seeing trademarks are everywhere, literally, and we don't even realize what we're looking at, yet you really do, because these companies do a great job of brainwashing us, That's why I got to put the credit card away. Words and designs, they can be combinations, not just one or the other, but you can put them together. They can also be shapes, right? Who makes this? Volkswagen, right? Just by looking at the shape, that's their, how about this? But who makes them? Pepperidge Farms, exactly. That's their trademark, the shape. Hershey, bam, right? We know it just by looking at the shape. It can also be packaging, right? Just the shape. Well, how about this one? Huh? Mrs. Butterworth, of course, Mrs. Butterworth. Exactly. Everyone loves Mrs. Butterworth. They can serve as colors as well. Anyone know where this box comes from? Don't tell my wife. Pink Panther insulation, right? No one else can sell pink insulation. John Deere, the green and yellow colors. What can brown do for you, right? Etch-a-Sketch. They can also be sounds. Aflac, right? Trademarks. You hear a sound. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Walgreens. It's your McDonald's. You know that. You know that. They can also be motion, right? Trademarks can also be motion. So these are all things, guys, once you develop your product, once you have a patent, once you're selling things and you become an entrepreneur, these are things to think about. How are you going to establish your brand, your product over the next, right? Because let's be honest, sometimes inventions might be close to each other, and maybe it's a coin flip, or maybe it's something that you need to distinguish yours over another, and that could be this trademark. And you know what? This is being video, so hopefully my trademark people don't see this, but patents don't last forever, right? We just went over that. Trademarks, they last forever. As long as you're using them in commerce. So if you get your foot in the market, you establish it with your product, the patent is going to run out eventually. However, if you get in the market with your branding and your product, and you continually improve your product, but also you have the brand to protect it, moving down the road, you have that brand recognition. So if someone does get a Coca-Cola, and we're going to talk about trade secrets next, but if someone reversed engineering the Coca-Cola soda, well, yeah, these two sodas taste the same, but are you going to buy Coca-Cola? I mean, are you going to buy like soda A or Coca-Cola? You're going to buy Coca-Cola because they've been around forever, and we know Coca-Cola is tried and trusted, right? That's the brand. So that's why trademarks are important. They can also be scents. It's kind of weird, but scents are kind of cool. What flavor do these smell like? Mint? It's a good guess. Bubblegum. Now, I would venture after a day of wearing those shoes, they do not smell like bubblegum, but I don't know. That's their trademark, bubblegum scented shoes. Right? What can brown do for you? How are we doing on time, Taylor?
We are at 11:02.
11? Oh, perfect. We are doing awesome. All right. So find the trademarks in this. There's actually 8. It says 7, but there's 8. What about it? The color. Excellent. All right. Go ahead. Don't be shy. UPS, the logo. All right. Someone said slogan. Which one? This one? What can brown do? What gave it away? This little R here? I'll talk about that later. All right. So UPS, this is actually 3. UPS by itself is 1. The shield by itself is 1. And the 2 together are 1. So that's 3. What else? The stripe on the truck? Not quite. It's a good guess, though. Worldwide services is the slogan. Yes. The shape, the bullnose, this bullnose, that's a good one. This bullnose edge, if you see a delivery truck with this shape and it's not UPS, I don't know, do something, or don't. But it should be UPS. And the color as well, brown trucks. There should not be a delivery service with a brown truck, it's not UPS. Otherwise, they're going to be in some serious trouble. To a lighter shade? Well, there's things called likelihood of confusion. So I don't want to get too techie with the trademark law, but if there's a likelihood of confusion between your mark and somebody else's mark, then most likely, definitely not, you're not going to get the trademark, because they're going to look at your truck and they're going to be confused. Is that a UPS truck or is that someone else's truck? Make sense? Cool. All right, so those are trademarks. There they are. True or false? All trademarks registered with the USPTO may use the registration symbol. Very true. So trademark law is actually common law. So you do not have to register with the trademark office to have trademark protection. So if you're a local mom and pop shop in Indiana, in your small town in Indiana, and you have a trademark, you can use the TM. Anybody has a trademark can use the TM. In fact, I can't advise you or tell you what to do, but that's good business practice. If you have a business or if you have a nonprofit or you have a robotics team with a cool logo, you want to put that TM next to it to put the public on notice that, hey, this is my company, this is my business, this is my organization. That way they know that this is a trademark. But that's local, so you have common law protection in your local area. If you want national protection, that's when you're going to need to, if you want state protection, you can register with your state office, and you'll have protection in the state of Indiana, for my example. But if I'm going to say, hey, I'm a robotics team, and I'm in Indiana, but I go to championships in St. Louis, or I go to championships in Houston, and I'm going to go out of the state, maybe I should think about registering with the Patent and Trademark Office for national protection. Right? Or maybe I'm selling pizza online and I'm selling across the nation. I want to get this national protection, and I want to be able to use this R with the circle around it. Right? So it's just something to think about. You don't have to register, but if you want nation protection, then you should. Right. So there's no such thing as an international patent or trademark. Right? So you're going to have to file individually in all the nations that you think you're going to do business in. Right. Now, when you say get a team logo, to register the trademark? So there's a fee structure online. I don't know exactly what the prices are right now. Just to give you a ballpark, in the like $250 to $300 range for like one class. Trademarks are classification, so you can't just get a trademark and it'll be good for everything. Once, to get a trademark, you have to prove you're using it in commerce, that it's being used. So like you show them a website, or show them like a store, picture of a storefront where you're selling something, or you're producing a service or something like that, right? So once you prove that, then depending on how the trademark's going to be used, there's different classifications, and for each classification, there's a fee. But if you file, you can bunch a couple together when you file in the beginning. Answer your question? Yeah. All right, there you go. Then we also have copyrights. So with copyrights, let me turn it on. Copyrights, things like songs, if you create a video, movie, music, if you're a musician, you compose music. Really, copyrights are any original work. The minute pen touches paper and you write a poem, or you write a song, or you draw a picture, you have copyright protection. Copyright protection is common law. Right? And you would file with the Library of Congress to get that protection if you want it on a copyright on an individual basis. You don't come to the patent office for that. But you can file copyright, and they're significantly cheaper than trademarks or patents. Right? So then you got the trade secrets. What's a trade secret? Coca-Cola, how do you make Coca-Cola? Nobody knows. It's a secret recipe. With trade secrets, you don't tell us. With patents, you tell us what your invention is, and we share it with the world. With trade secrets, we tell you, nope, keep it away. I'm not looking. I don't want to know what it is, because that's your secret. The onus is on you to keep it a secret. So the benefit with a trade secret is if you can keep it a secret for 200 years, then that 20 years you got for a patent, you've just extended that times 20. However, if someone breaks into your house or reverse engineered it, and that secret no longer a secret, the cat's out of the bag. You've lost that intellectual property protection. However, if someone does break into your house, obviously you can take them to court and you can sue them. So you do have that kind of damages. But if someone does not break into your house, they just go into a lab and they reverse engineer whatever your secret is, or they figure it out on their own, and legally, then unfortunately, you're out of luck, right? So that's a strategy. That's something you need to think about if you're going to try to keep something a secret or not. The 11 herbs and spices, things like that, right? So, if you guys don't have any questions, anyone got questions? Or... Can you renew a patent? That's a really good question. So there's a statutory limit at 20 years, and no, you cannot renew it. But what you can do is make it better, and then file a new patent application, right, or a continuation. So you want to constantly be improving, right? Just like when I was talking earlier about constantly learning. You don't want to get stale. You don't want to just, this is it. This is going to be my bread and butter. No, maybe I want to add a laser pointer that identifies something and circles it when I push it or something. Just invent. You want to keep making it better and better and better, right? So we want to continually learn and improve. What about them? Legal limitations? I mean, where are they coming from? Who's making them?
Coca-Cola
Like RC, well, I don't want to say, RC Cola is good, actually. I don't want, no, there's nothing wrong with RC Cola, but it's not Coke. Right. Right. Well, if there's a likelihood of confusion, like I was telling earlier, if there's going to be a confusion, they won't get that trademark. But if they do get the mark, it's not confusing. It says cola, just because it says cola, you know, it's Coca-Cola. There's a lot of colas out there. So it's just a matter of, you know, that brand recognition. So there could be a cheap knockoff, probably, or could do well, could not do well. I don't know. But you can do it. So 3 tips to filing your patent checklist. I'm going to run through these. Do your homework. This is number 1. This is, if you don't have money for attorney, which most of us don't, myself included, you need to do your homework. You got to research, and there's resources out there available to you. I'm going to talk about a little of them here. But you need to know what your invention is. A lot of people say, I've got this idea, and it's an idea. It's not an invention. They haven't taken it to model, prototype yet. You know, they haven't conceptualized it out. What is your invention? Why is it better than something that's already out there? Right? What is the true nature of your invention? Why is it special? What makes your invention better than my invention? What is the novelty? Right? Because there's a lot of things that might be the same as something else, but what makes yours better than the next? Right? You need to figure that out. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, what is your invention? Yes, you may have a computer program that can identify shapes or different algorithms, but there's other computer programs that do that. But maybe yours does it faster. Maybe it does it a little differently. Maybe it does it in less time. Like, what makes yours better than the other one? How is it different, right? Search it. You can search on your own. There's ways to search it. You can search it on our website, uspto.gov/patents. There's a little search field. This is the basic search field, but we have a more advanced search field here with Boolean operators and ors, near, words that are near each other. And you can search on your own, on site. Also, there's Google patents as well. You know, I was a patent examiner for 12 years. I used our systems, and I also used Google. You know, I used IEEE. If you have access to the internet, then you have access to a wealth of information to search, at least to search the basics of the competitors. What's called prior art. Prior art is technology that's already out there. It's already been created. It's prior, all right? So you need to search for that prior art. You need to understand what a patent looks like, right? If you're going to file a patent, you need to know what a patent is, right? It's not just a piece of paper. It's a composition of information, right? It's a story. It tells a story of your invention from where, before your invention, what was already out there, a background, a description of a background, right? And it's divided into 3 different parts. You have your drawings, and I'm giving you the answer. You have your drawings, you have a specification, and then this is the important part. At the end, there's what's called patent claims. This is what the judge looks at to see what your actual invention is, right? So you have drawings, and there's all different kinds of drawings. This is a physical drawing of what it looks like, the physical composition of your invention. Maybe you have a process. If you have a process, this is like the insides of a computer. This is like the processor, what these things do, right? This is really detailed. This is in-depth stuff, right? And then maybe you just have a way of doing things, a method of doing things. You start here, 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If yes, then no, you come here. You know, so these are all kinds of different drawings that you need to understand and know about if you're going to be filing for a patent application that deals with your particular invention, whether it's a process or maybe it's an article for manufacture. There's different types of drawings. There's different sections. You have the field of invention. This describes really briefly the general field of what your invention is. This is a background and summary. So this is where, during your prior art search, this is where you're going to talk about what you found. I found this, and this is what these do. And then brief description of your drawings, a quick label here, and then the detailed description. This is where you go into detail, and you can talk about the prior art and why yours is better. So this is where you describe everything about your invention. It's all in the details, right? It is all in the details, and you want to put it there. And then these are the claims. So does everyone know what this is? It's a Game Boy. All right. So I'm just going to read this real quick, just so you get an idea. Tell me if this makes sense. A handheld electronic game machine comprising a case of a size which may be held by hand and have a subsonically rectangularly shape defined by a front surface, a rear surface, 2 latitudinal side surfaces, Are you guys still with me? A lower side surface, an upper side surface, each of said two longitudinal side surfaces being greater in length than each of said lower side. You know what that just described? A rectangle. Welcome to patent world. That's a rectangle, but that's how you describe it. So when you're filing a patent application, read some patents, especially ones that are familiar with your art, right, and your technology. That way you understand the lingo and you know how to draft it, right? Turn the camera off. It's a rectangle. That's all it is. It's a longitudinal, latitudinal upper surface. I did this for 12 years. Got pretty good at it too. But those are patents. That's patent lingo. So, but you knew exactly what they were talking about, right? So that's just understand patents. If you're going to file a patent, you need to understand a patent, right? So tip number 3, we're here to help you, all right? We know that there's, underserved populations out there that maybe can't afford to file on their own. So there's what's called the Pro Bono Program, all right? And it says free up there. Most are free. Some might charge a nominal fee. But in general, pro bono just means free service. All right, so there's law firms, and they're not run by the USPTO, but the USPTO has worked with some law firms that the law firms have agreed to these 3 basic requirements for qualifying for the pro bono program. And these are regional programs set up throughout the U.S. And you can find them on our website. And I can help you find those too afterwards if you email me. There is an income threshold, so you have to qualify with the income. You have to display a knowledge of the patent system. And what that means is there's a certain couple criteria that you can prove this. One, you can take a quick course and certify that you have knowledge of the patent system, or you have already filed a patent, either a provisional patent application or a non-provisional patent application, all right? And I don't really talk about provisionals, but provisional is a bookmark. So if you're not quite ready to file your non-provisional patent application, you can file what's called a provisional. All it is, it doesn't get examined. It says to the PTO, start my time now, because you have 1 year from the filing of that provisional application to file a non-provisional. So where you can get ready to do that, all right? And also, you have 1 year from public disclosure. I didn't say that earlier, but you have 1 year from publicly disclosing your invention to the world to file a US patent. You were first. That's what patent pending means. So if you see patent pending, someone has already filed a patent application, either provisional or non-provisional.
Does your submittal time start there for 20 years or from the actual?
From date of filing of non-provisional. Non-provisional, yeah.
Are you looking at changing that because it's taking so long now? I might take 4
Well,
years. No, 4 years.
I personally am not looking at it. That's above my pay grade, but there was the America Invents Act, AIA, that was passed in 2012, that kind of, the U.S. used to be first to file, first to invent, getting confused. Used to be first to invent, so you had to prove that you were the first inventor. Now it's first to file, first inventor to file, actually. So they switched it a little bit, and we are trying to work on our backlog. Some backlogs are longer than others, and they are too long, I will admit that, but we are working internally to try to get that down. And I think pendency is down to like 18 months now, which is, when I was examining, and I've been out of examining 3 years ago, my first application I picked up was 2.5 years old. It had been collecting dust for 2.5 years before I opened it. And that's just, there's not enough patent examiners. Technology, did you see these patents? Like in 1800, there was 800,000 patents. In 2002, there's 6 million. It's just the technology is advancing at such a high rate that patent filings are going up and up and up and up. And it takes time to give you a quality product, to make sure that you get the examination that you deserve, and to make sure that if it goes to court, it's upheld, right? And the examiner does their job. It takes time, unfortunately. Right now, we're pushing close to 10 million, right? So in 2002, there was 6 million. It's only been 15 years, and it's almost jumped 4 million. I mean, technology is exploding, and it's all because of you guys. You guys first, and the students that come through first are pushing this technology, pushing this innovation. You guys, once you graduate, you're going to colleges. You guys are going on to be excellent professionals, leaders in the field, innovators, and there's a lot of past first people who have patents. Public disclosure, great question. I kind of snuck that in there on you. So if you disclose your invention, science fair or something like that, right? If you disclose enough information where we're getting back to that ordinary skill in the art, can make or use your invention, that's considered public disclosure. And that's a little gray area too, right? So we can't, as a public government, I can't advise you what to do, but I can tell you that don't disclose your invention, you know, and if you do, don't give them a whole lot of information, you know? Right. Yes. Yes.
So then what happens if the people in the audience take your idea and you're disclosing it, you're done?
You're not done. I mean, there's options for you, but I would highly recommend filing at least a provisional application before that disclosure or shortly thereafter. That way you have something on file, on record, stating that's your invention. Now, they can take your invention and they can file, but they're going to have to prove they're the inventor, right? It's first inventor to file, not first to file, right? So they're going to have to prove that they invented it.
How would you even know if you disclosed it that somebody went off and tried?
You wouldn't.
You have to be like checking the patent
So
online, right?
for any first innovation competition, our judges sign a non-disclosure.
Okay,
So that might be a question for you to ask
okay.
for whatever else your other inventions are.
So let's say it gets publicly somehow.
Right.
Months later, you go file the provisional.
Mhm.
Is the 12 months the public or is it 12 months provisional at that point?
12 months from the date of filing of the provisional.
You took your clock and extended.
Right. So, exactly. Right. So you have 1 year from public disclosure. Say you waited a year, you filed a provisional. Now you have another year. So technically you had 2 years from public disclosure as long as you filed that provisional. Does that make sense, everybody? So, not everyone's selected for this pro bono program, but if you're selected, you will be matched with an attorney, and they'll help you work through the process. So that's our pro bono program. Each region, the programs are slightly different, the rules are different, but there's that general requirement that you have to do. And then, let's see here. There's an online course that like a little, I don't know, email me later and I can help you find it. But you just need to prove that you have knowledge of the patent system. So it's just kind of a quick certification thing. Or I say quick, it might be an hour, I don't know, what's quick to you. We also have law school certification programs. So there's law schools around the country that work, I keep pressing buttons, sorry, work with the PTO. So there's strict guidance that these law students can work and do some drafting and filing of patent applications or trademark applications with the USPTO. So this gives the college students experience in drafting patent applications as well, but it also offers a service, you know, highly reduced in charge for young inventors and for independent inventors and people who have don't have the resources to get a licensed attorney. So check with the law clinic program, because this list keeps growing. Every year we get more law schools that are added on and on and on. And I think it's a really great program. Pro se. So pro se means, pro bono means free legal service, free law service. Pro se means that there's no attorney. You don't have an attorney. You're a pro se applicant. You're an inventor filing for a patent application on your own without an attorney. All right? That's what pro se means. And the USPTO realizes that this is, we're seeing a lot of pro se inventors. And when you're a pro se inventor, those tips that I gave you earlier, how are we doing on time, Taylor? 11:22, perfect. So those know your stuff. People file patent applications and they don't know their stuff. They don't know the language. They don't know the proper layout of a patent application. They don't know the deadlines to filing. And you can get stuck if you don't know those things. If you miss a deadline, sometimes that deadline sinks your ship, sinks your invention. And it may be an awesome invention, but because you didn't know, because you didn't do the homework, then you don't get to move on, and that's not fair. So what we've done is we have a pro se assistance program where if you call in, there's no income threshold. You don't need to know about the patent system. You do need to have an invention, not just an idea. So you have to have created something, right, and physically conceptualized it, made it. You have to have an invention. And then what we'll do is we'll provide you assistance with the steps along the way. We'll give you a roadmap of where you need to go. You need to go here, fill out this form. You need to go there. This is the deadlines that you need to meet. You have to file claims. You have to draft your claims. We can't help you draft the language, the claims like that, but we can guide you into how that is done, right? So we're not lawyers. We can't act like lawyers, but we definitely can help you procedurally, which is still a big help to a lot of people. And the purpose is to increase the quality of the patent applications coming in, so the patent examiners, we don't have to be the bad guys. We don't have to be sorry, but you didn't do this properly, and I can't help you, right? Because we want to help you. It's not the reject office, you know. We want to give you your inventions. We just need to make sure you guys know exactly what it is you need to do to get it, right? So this is a video. I'm not going to show it, but it just shows you things like that. How to file a patent, and there's getting started here. There's an application checklist. This is all on our website, so you can go to it. So there's inventors. I want to talk about a couple FIRST inventors, because FIRST is an amazing organization, and my work with FIRST is through the FIRST LEGO League Global Innovation Awards, and I love that in FIRST LEGO League, they not only have a robotics portion, but they have an invention project portion, and that is like innovation on steroids. Some of these kids, like they're kids, they're 5th, 6th, 7th graders, 8th graders, and the inventions they come up with are mind-blowing. I was a judge, a round 2 judge last year, and it was just like, it was amazing, like turning styrofoam into activated carbon, like that happened. Like they did it. It was crazy. It wasn't like just little cardboard box thing. There was a full-fledged, like, scientific PhD level stuff and it happens every year. So anyways, this is the very first winner, the Flying Monkeys. They're a Girl Scout troop out of Ames, Iowa, and they developed a prosthetic limb, and they actually got a patent on their invention. So this is them receiving their patent from Michelle Lee. She's the director. She's my big boss. And so I report to her, but this is them getting their patent on stage at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. They got to meet the president at the White House Science Fair, and this is all because of this invention right here. This is their patent. Look at where it says inventor. That's their names. Like, that's them. Like, they will forever be able to talk about that and show people, like, this is, and it's not just any invention. This thing right here, this helped a 3-year-old girl who was born with an underdeveloped limb. Her arm, she didn't have a hand, a complete hand. She only had partial digits. And this is a prosthetic limb. She put it on, and she was able to write for the first time in her life with this invention. I mean, that's crazy. Like, how powerful is that? Like, they're not just inventing. They're inventing for humanity, right? And this is all of FIRST. That's why I love what we do. I love this collaboration. I just think it's very important. And we need to bring this, like, past FIRST, you know, we need to bring FIRST to more people so that they can be thinking creatively, innovatively, which is the subject of this whole talk, right? There's another team. These are the Lego lines out of Northern Virginia. They created the Floody. Obviously, they went through one of our presentations because you see the TM right there next to their name. But their device is a safety device for, I think it was Nature's Fury. This was the FLL Nature's Fury. So when this Floody, this is a hoodie that you wear, and say you're like on a plane or you just jump in water, if it's in water for like 4 or 5 seconds, it activates and it puffs out into like a life preserver. And it's got like a blanket inside of it, a LED flashlight. I mean, and they got a patent for this thing too. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's amazing. You know, this is, once again, look at the inventors. That's their team. That's a FIRST Lego League team right there on this patent. And they have this, it looks pretty cool actually in this drawing. It's pretty lifelike too. It's right, I mean, that's their invention, the hoodie and innovative life vest design. But that's theirs. That's FIRST for you, right? That's why you guys are in this room. And I don't know if you have any questions, but that is the end of my presentation. Let me go to this innovator thing. Let's see what you guys came up with real quick here. What do we got? Nice. Let's see. All right. So creativity is the more a word is put in, the bigger it's going to get. Right? So what is essential to be an innovator? Creativity, imagination, analytical, problem solving, persistence, curiosity, communication, perseverance, right? These are all, there's no wrong answer to being an innovator, right? It's like you're filling your toolbox with all of these things, right? I love it. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
Who's the youngest patent holder?
That's a great question. I honestly don't know. The youngest patent holder, I'm not sure. I know that Marissa Strang was a 3rd grader when she invented what's called the Puff and Fluff, and it's a doggy drying device. If you Google puff and fluff, it's a great invention, actually. It's like you put the dog into this like blanket, and then you wrap it around it, and you put a hair dryer inside of it, and you turn the air dryer on, and it like puffs it up. So the dog is in like this magical warm air spa getting dried off.
Apparently the youngest patent holder is an Indian student who was 9 when he made a 6-player game of chess.
Wow, there you go. 9 years old. 6-player game of chess. I can't play a 2-player game of chess, so can't imagine 6.
Somebody applies for a patent, there's some technical issue or something, and you're going to decline it or whatever. Do they resubmit to correct that, or how does that process?
Say that again. Someone applies. Yeah.
For whatever reason, maybe they got a great idea, but they didn't do something technically in the details. And they needed to.
You can refile. You have to refile. It's going to cost more money, but you can refile. Yes. Yeah.
So the spike in all the number of patent infringements, how much of that is software lines, like small lines of code, just denied competitors?
I can't answer that question, honestly. I don't know. There is a lot of software patents, business method patents, we call them, methods of doing things. And there's a lot of case law, patent law that's out there on those. It is a lot, but I couldn't tell you what the purpose of why they're filing them and whatnot.
Is there some kind of like entry process to sort of giving patents out? Because if you think back to the ENIAC, when the inventors of the ENIAC tried to first patent it, it would cause a problem to the innovation of the computer. We would be where we are today if they hadn't.
Right. So there's issues, people, there's issues, yes, patent, no patent, things like that. But at the end of the day, if there wasn't a patent system, if there wasn't knowledge sharing, then people couldn't improve upon past inventions, right? So you might create a small monopoly in that that doesn't mean you can't make it better, right? It just means you can't make it and sell it. So they may have a patent on their invention and they're limiting others, and that happened with the steam engine as well. There's a rich history of patents and throughout that, but that doesn't mean that you can't continually make it better, right? Because they do have a patent. They're stopping you from making it or selling it, but that doesn't mean you can't improve it and file a patent application so that when theirs does expire, you can come to market with yours and you have your patent or you have that protection.
Am I correct in, you said that in order to use TM for trademark, that there is no paperwork?
No paperwork. You can use the registered trademark, which is the R, right? But for copyrights, you can use the C automatically. I would put the C, your name, and the date next to any copyright, which is instructions or anything like that. Back there?
Let's say you don't innovate on like a project like a chair or something, and you just like change the trademark or like change a small portion of it. Is that still considered like a new patent?
No, so you're not going to be able to get a patent unless it's new, useful, and non-obvious, okay? So if your change wasn't new or it wasn't non-obvious, you won't be able to get a patent on it. So you have to prove, you have to show that your change is new, useful, and non-obvious. It has to pass those 3 criteria.
Do you need to copyright or patent an app?
An app? So apps are a little tough. You can get a patent on an app. You can't. I'm not going to say you can't get an app, but once again, it goes back to the question over here with the business methods and the method of doing things on online. So it's harder to do that. The copyright is probably a really good. And there's another thing. I took the slide out for time purposes, but you're not limited to one form of intellectual property, right? You want to use as many as you can because you want a strong intellectual property foundation. So it's not just about the patent, it's not just about the trademark, it's not just about the copyright, it's about the totality of all of them put together, right? So maybe you can't get a patent on your app, but you can certainly get copyright protection on the content that's inside of your app, right?
So after a patent expires, what else can you use to protect your product?
Well, you have your trademark, right? So that trademark is one way to protect it, and you want to continually improve your patent. You want to make it better, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what you're going to have to do, continual improvement.
I'm a little curious. To become a patent examiner,
Yeah,
what kind of background do you have?
that's a great question. Did I plant you into the room?
Well, my other question is this, like, is the backlog because we don't have enough patent examiners, we can't find them, or is the backlog just funding?
So, let me answer your first question. To become a patent examiner, you need a engineering or science degree, because to think about it, all of these patent applications are high tech, right? You need to be able to understand drawings, technical drawings. You need to be able to understand that language that I just read out to you, and you need to be able to search for things like that. So as a patent examiner, I was searching all different kinds of technologies, and I'm a mechanical engineer, right? But I had that education. I had the ability to think quickly and understand, conceptualize an invention after reading that application 2 or 3 times, and then I had to go look for it, right? And you have to do that for this invention, have to do that for a totally, completely different invention, and you have to be nonstop. So you need a high-tech, an engineering or a science degree, physics, math, some math can work, and architecture too for the design patents. And then for the backlog, to answer that question, yeah, we do need more patent examiners to reduce that backlog. And funding can be an issue, but what people don't realize is we're completely fee-funded. So your taxpayer dollars do not pay my salary. All right, my salary is paid from the patent filing fees, from the trademark registration fees, and the maintenance fees, and all that. So we're actually one of the, I think there's 2 of us federal employees that we're in the black. We make money. We can't use all the money we make. Congress, we still have to go to Congress, but we make our own money.
So the job market is good?
The job, I mean, we're not hiring right now because of, actually, I think the 90-day freeze might be over. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's a good job. It's not for everybody, but it's a great job. You get to, after 2 years, you can work anywhere in the U.S. for free, from home, for free. Yeah. No, you don't do it for free. But you can work, like I hotelled, it's called hoteling. I worked from home for 3 years. You can examine in Puerto Rico. We have examiners in Puerto Rico. We have examiners in California. Plus we have those regional offices as well. So you can work out of one of those regional offices. So we truly are a nationwide workforce. There's 12,000 employees, 8,000 patent examiners, over 4,000 examiners work from home. So, but yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you guys for sitting through this, and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.